What if the most important secret in human history wasn't buried in a tomb, locked in a vault, or erased from the history books? What if it was hiding in plain sight, carved into the oldest structures on Earth, written into the language of the cosmos, and encoded inside every single human being alive today? What if the answer to everything was a number? Not a complex number, not a formula requiring centuries of mathematics. Just 3. This is Hidden Doctrine. And once you see this pattern, you will never stop seeing it. Stand on the Giza Plateau in Egypt and look west across the desert. 3 massive structures rise from the sand: the Great Pyramid of Khufu, Khafre, and Menkaure. Each one a monument to engineering that modern architects still struggle to fully explain. But the pyramid is more than a structure. It is a statement. Every face of a pyramid is a triangle. And the triangle is not an accident of design. It is the most stable, the most efficient, and arguably the most intentional geometric form in existence. 3 points, 3 sides, no redundancy, no weakness. Ancient cultures across the world, from the Nile Valley to the jungles of Mesoamerica, independently arrived at the same shape, the same 3-sided form, the same upward-pointing apex. Why? Some historians point to structural logic, but others point to something far older, a tradition of sacred geometry that these civilizations didn't invent, but inherited. In the 6th century BC, on the Greek island of Samos, a philosopher named Pythagoras introduced one of the most famous equations in human history: a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Every student learns it as the Pythagorean theorem. What most students are never taught is where Pythagoras actually got it. Ancient records confirm that Pythagoras spent decades studying under the priests of Egypt, masters of a geometric tradition that had been guarded in secrecy for thousands of years. He didn't discover this knowledge, he was initiated into it. And what he brought back to Greece was, according to those same ancient records, not originally Egyptian knowledge either. The Egyptian priests themselves claimed it came from the gods. Consider this. Megalithic standing stones in Karnak, France, over 6,000 years old, are arranged in precise Pythagorean triangle relationships. These stones were raised millennia before Pythagoras was born. The same geometric ratios appear at Avebury, at Stonehenge, across cultures that had no known contact with one another. The theorem wasn't discovered once. It appears to have been remembered, again and again, by civilizations drawing from the same ancient source. Pythagoras himself taught that every problem in the universe could be reduced, diagrammatically, to a triangle. That 3 was not merely a number, it was the key to all hidden mysteries. The question Hidden Doctrine asks is simple. How did he know that? In the libraries of Cambridge University, among the surviving papers of Sir Isaac Newton, the man who gave the world the 3 laws of motion, researchers discovered something unexpected: a translation. Handwritten, carefully encoded. Newton had spent years studying one of the most controversial documents in the entire history of human knowledge: the Emerald Tablets. According to legend, the Emerald Tablets were not written on parchment or papyrus, but carved into green crystal. They are said to contain not simply the secrets of alchemy, but the fundamental operating principles of the universe itself. Some accounts place their origin inside the Great Pyramid. Others suggest they were brought to Egypt from somewhere else entirely. Their existence is officially classified as myth, and yet the greatest scientific mind of the 17th century dedicated significant portions of his life to translating them. What did the tablets say?
Among their most discussed lines is this: 3 is the great mystery, come from the Great One. Power, wisdom, and awareness, the tablets claim, arise from the interaction of 3 forces. Not 2, not 4, 3. The alchemical principle wasn't simply about turning base metals into gold, it was about transformation itself. The idea that when 2 things combine, a 3rd thing emerges that is greater than either alone.
Newton understood this. It shaped his laws. It shaped his worldview. The man who unlocked the mechanics of the physical universe spent his private hours studying an ancient text that claimed the number 3 was the master key to existence. That is not a coincidence that history has explained adequately. In March 1953, James Watson and Francis Crick announced one of the most significant scientific discoveries in human history: the 3-dimensional double helix structure of DNA, the molecule of life, the code that makes you, you. But as scientists began unraveling the complexity of the human genome, something deeply unsettling emerged. The code was too complex, too precise, too perfect to have assembled itself by chance across the relatively short span of Earth's biological history. Francis Crick, one of the very men who discovered DNA, proposed that the human genetic code did not originate on this planet, that it arrived here, deliberately, from somewhere else. He called the theory directed panspermia. And buried within the architecture of DNA is a structure that should stop you cold. The genetic code is built from sequences of 3 molecules, called codons or triplets. Every instruction your body has ever received, every protein ever built, every biological process that keeps you alive runs on a base 3 system. 3 stars in Orion's belt, 3 pyramids on the Giza plateau, aligned to those same 3 stars. 3 sides to the pyramid's face, 3 codons in the language of life. The same number, encoded at every scale, from the cosmos above to the cells within you. If that is coincidence, it is the most elaborate coincidence in the history of the West. On the western bank of the Nile, in southern Egypt, stands the Temple of Edfu, one of the best preserved ancient temples in existence. Its walls are covered, floor to ceiling, in texts that Egyptologists call the Edfu building texts. These texts describe the creation of the world, not as allegory, not as poetry, as history. According to the inscriptions, the world was first established on a sacred island, a place called the Island of the Egg, created by gods who descended from the sky. These gods, the texts claim, came in 3 distinct groups: the sages, the builders, and a mysterious 3rd group known as the Sheptiu, said to emerge from the water. 3 groups, building the first civilization. The texts go on to describe a catastrophe, a time of sudden darkness, floods, and destruction, brought on by something described as the Great Leaping One, an enemy that appeared in the sky like a serpent. When the waters receded, the original inhabitants, the Elder Ones, were gone. Scholars have noted something striking about the scale of the island described in these texts. Its size matches only one landmass on Earth, a continent currently buried under miles of ice in the southernmost reaches of the planet, Antarctica. Ancient maps, most famously the Piri-Reisi map of 1513, appear to depict the Antarctic coastline without its ice cap, suggesting knowledge of the continent that official history cannot account for. If the Edfu texts describe a real place, a real civilization, destroyed by a real catastrophic event in Earth's ancient past, then the gods who built the first temples,
who encoded the number 3 into geometry and DNA and sacred knowledge and the stars above us, may not have been mythological at all.
3 pyramids, 3 codons, 3 laws of motion, 3 groups of builders, 3 stars in Orion's belt, 3 sides to the shape that built every civilization. History teaches us these are separate stories from separate times and separate cultures. Hidden Doctrine asks, what if they're all one story? What if, long before recorded history began, something, or someone, left a message, encoded it into the architecture of the cosmos, into the foundations of our greatest monuments, and into the very molecule that defines what we are? And what if we are only now, for the first time, in possession of the knowledge needed to read it? The code is there. It has always been there. You just have to know where to look.
If history is a puzzle, Hidden Doctrine is where the pieces come together. Subscribe now and hit the notification bell because the next revelation is already being prepared. And tell me in the comments, do you think the number 3 is a cosmic coincidence or a deliberate message? I want to read every theory. The truth was never hidden from those willing to seek it.